Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this channel, Infinite Wisdom. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing and clicking that notification bell so that you will be notified when we will be uploading videos like this. We upload videos related to business, marketing, research, and statistics. And of course, in this particular video, we'll be talking about what is a research capstone. Now, just in case this is the first time that you have visited our channel, we already have a video on the introduction to research capstone. Now, if you want to begin your study on the research capstones, you are encouraged to watch that video. I'll be putting the link in the description below so that you might visit and watch that video first. Now, in this particular video, I'll be discussing and sharing with you what is a research capstone. Uh, a research capstone is a culminating project. It is a project that is typically completed at the end of a degree program, or it could also be completed at the end of a particular subject or a course in a degree program. And it is often offered in the undergraduate and the graduate studies. Although in the current curriculum of the basic education and the senior high school, we already have a research capstone. But that is not an absolutely and necessarily required that students must finish a degree or a diploma in high school to be required with a research capstone, although it's part of the the subject that is offered in senior high school and high school. Now, it is often offered in the undergraduate studies and the graduate studies. It serves as an opportunity for students to apply the knowledge and skills they've acquired throughout their coursework to a comprehensive research project. Now, there are certain types of capstone, by the way. Now, we have probably in a form of a research or in a performance or implementation of particular projects. Now, in this video, we're talking about research capstone. Now, a research capstone almost always starts with a research proposal, where the students identify certain research questions or problem, conduct a literature review, and outline their methodology. The next process, after determining the research questions or developing the proposal, the students would then uh, collect data after the proposal it has passed in the panel of examiners and then allowed to continue. The Typically the students will collect the data and analyze. Depending on the field, this might involve certain experiments or surveys, interviews, and other forms of data gathering. The data is then analyzed to answer the research question, and then the research reports where the findings is compiled into formal documents, now often similar structure to a thesis or a dissertation. And this report typically includes introduction, the literature review, methodology, results, discussions, and conclusions. Although there are certain situations wherein the output is in the form of a comprehensive dissertation or a thesis, there are also other options by which research capstone would end up in an MRAD form or an article type written report. Now, after the written report, the students will now make themselves ready for the presentation or defense. The students usually present their research finding to a panel of faculty members or peers. And in some cases, they may have to defend their methodology and their conclusions because all of the things that must be investigated, how the study was conducted, will be asked and validated in the exchange between the researcher and the panel of examiners. Usually, these panel of examiners are expert in that specific field where the student is conducting the study. And in this case, let's say, for example, if you are in the field of engineering, then 90% of the time, the panelists are in that specific field of engineering. Maybe there are members of the panelists that are not engineers, but are method experts or language experts that will evaluate on the language and other aspects of the research, or probably statisticians in that case. And then there are also what we call as interdisciplinary approach, where the capstone projects often encourages students to integrate knowledge from multiple disciplines, demonstrating their ability to think critically and solve complex problems. Now, in the previous discussion, in the previous videos, in the previous discussion of the video that is uploaded in this site on the introduction to capstone research or capstone project, we already talked about the importance of an actual problem in a capstone project or in a capstone research, that there must be an actual problem that you will solve. And this means that we have to solve the actual problem as a way of showing the expertise and the skills and the knowledge that is acquired by the student in their academic life or in their journey in the academe. And then the capstone study or the experience is meant to demonstrate the students' mastery of their subject area and their readiness for professional work and further academic study. Now, how do we conduct the research capstone? Of course, first we have to determine our topic or choose a research topic. Now, in choosing the research topic, it must be noted that the researcher's topics must be aligned with the researcher's interest coupled with relevance. Not only that is interesting on the part of the researcher, but it must also be relevant. Select a topic that genuinely interests and is relevant to your field of study, and it should also address a specific problem or question. Feasibility. Ensure that the topic is manageable within the time frame and the resources that is available. Consider availability of the data and the research materials. And then you have to conduct a literature review. Gather sources, collect academic papers, books, and other scholarly resources related to your topic. Synthesize the information, identify key themes and gaps of the existing research and literature, and the theoretical framework that is relevant to your specific topic. And then define your research questions. Now, in defining the research question, it must be taken in the context of the varied literature reviews that you have previously conducted. So by looking at the previously published researches available in Scopus or in Google Scholar or other sources of information that is available online, as long as it is legitimate, what you're going to do is you will define your research question. So you have to understand that literature review comes first before defining the research question, because the research literature will be the basis of the formulation of the research question. It cannot be otherwise, because If you are forming the questions first, then find the literatures that will back up your perception or your question, then it's going to be hard. So the easiest way is that you start with the literature review and then you define the question based on the existing gaps of the literature. And then you will develop the proposal. There are different aspects and parts of a proposal. It varies from institution to institution, but basically the proposal should have the introduction, the literature review, the methodology, the timeline, and of course, the approval, which the students must subject themselves to an advisor or a committee for approval. Now, in terms of the content, the proposal should have the following: introduction, literature review, methodologies, and a timeline. Probably at some point, you will be asked of your survey questionnaires. You will be asked to validate your survey questionnaire when necessary, and so on. And then you'll present it to a body of panelists. And then, if it's approved, you have to conduct the research. Now, in conducting the research, of course, you have to gather the data collection. It could be in a form of surveys, experiments, interviews, archival research, or data mining, data analytics, whatever. And then you have to conduct analysis, the analysis of the data using appropriate statistical tools, quantitative analysis method, probably tools like SPSS, R, in vivo, PLSM, whatever. Or probably Microsoft Excel also works as a statistical tool using the analysis tool pack. And then, how to write the capstone paper. After the conduct of the study, the gathering of the data, and the analysis of the data, when the results are in, after sending it to your statistician, if you don't know statistics, when the results are in, this is what you're going to do. First, you're going to formulate the introduction. Now, this varies from institution to institution, but basically this is the skeleton, the skeletal form of the research capstone. Now, first is the introduction, where you state your questions and objectives and then provide a brief overview of your approach. And then the literature review, which provides the detailed review of literature that frames the research. Now, remember that literature review is very important because this serves as the primary condition. Why is it that the research exists in the first place? Because the absence of knowledge, the gap of literature, is the reason why you have the urgency to fill such a particular gap in the body of knowledge. You have to fill into the gap. And then the methodology. You describe your research design. Quantitative, qualitative, experimental, survey, the sampling method, whether it is a probability or non-probability sampling method, and different statistical tools and analysis, the way you collect the data, the analysis method should be discussed in detail, or probably you formulate your own formula, or probably using certain structure, equation, model, whatever. So you have to discuss your methodology in this particular case. Now, after that, you present the results in the findings, including the tables, the graphs, and other visual aids that would make the communication of the results a little easier and better to understand on the part of your reader, especially readers that are not well versed with the specific subject matter being researched upon. And then you have the discussion. You interpret the results by explaining how they answer your research question and their specific implication to the field, to the profession, to the academe, to the future researchers. And then formulate conclusions based on your findings. Now, discuss the limitation, and then suggest areas for future research. Now, then you will provide certain references, list all of the references in your paper in the appropriate academic style, probably APA, MLA, Chicago, but more or less we'll be using APA if you're doing what we call as social science research. Now, after that, you have to prepare for the presentation and the defense. Now, in the preparation for the capstone presentation, you must create and develop certain PowerPoint or Canva or whatever. It could be Prezi or other presentation softwares that are free softwares that are available. And then highlight your research question, the methodology, the key findings, and the conclusions. And rehearse. You have to rehearse the presentation multiple times to ensure that you can explain your research clearly and concisely within the allotted time. Anticipate questions. Prepare questions ahead from your audience, particularly in your methodology, data analysis, and conclusions. And then in the presentation, you deliver the presentation and present your research to a panel of faculty members or peers. Be clear, confident, and concise. Engage with feedback. Respond thoughtfully to any questions or critiques from the panel, and be prepared to discuss your methodologies and findings in details. Now, tips for success in your capstone research. Number one is you have to stay organized. Use your project management tools or a simple timeline to keep track of your progress. Seek feedback. Regularly consult with your advisor or your mentor to get feedback and guidance. Time management. Break down your task into manageable chunks and set deadlines for each stage of your project. And most importantly, stay curious. Keep an open mind and be willing to explore new angles or adjust your approaches as needed. And that is the research capstone. I hope that you learned something. This is Infinite Wisdom. Thank you very much.